Welcome back now. Rishi Sunak's backdoor D-Day exit saga has caused anger across the country. A new YouGov poll has revealed that 2/3 of voters say that Sunak leaving D-Day early was unacceptable. And here's the PM giving an apology earlier.
As I said, the itinerary for these events was set weeks ago before the general election campaign. I participated in events both in Portsmouth and in France, and having fully participated in all the British events with British veterans, I returned home before the International Leaders event. That was a mistake, and I apologise for that.
Oof. So Nigel Farage came out swinging on this issue tonight.
It's catastrophic. So rather than having a weird concept of national service, where 30,000 youngsters would do a year, we need to recruit 30,000 people into the army full-time. And yes, the veterans' point's been made already.
So how are British veterans really feeling about this? Well, one joins me now, Liz McConaghy, longest-serving female crewman on RAF Chinook helicopters. Let's go live to Basingstoke and speak to her now. Good evening, Liz.
Unpatriotic Prime Minister.
See you. Good evening. Good to see you. So was this a mistake by Rishi Sunak, or is he just a very busy man with a country to run and an election looming?
Jobs and countries to run. But yeah, I do think it was a mistake on his part. I think the very fact that he has apologised today, he knows that, which we'll come on to again in a minute, I'm sure. But, you know, ultimately, this is all about leadership, isn't it? And it's about moral courage. And, you know, one of the things we talk about in the forces a lot is moral courage, and that is doing the right thing even when external pressures are pulling you in opposite directions. And I really feel like with yesterday, he should have wanted to be there until the end. It wasn't a case of what was the itinerary, who was telling him to be where, when. You know, it was an absolute honour and a privilege to be there yesterday. You know, I've spoken to veterans today who would have swum across the channel to be there if they were invited. You know, it was such a privilege. And to leave early was a huge insult to a lot of veterans up, you know, across the country.
I have to say I was quite surprised, talking about moral courage, about the fact that the Prime Minister actually apologised and said it was a mistake, I got it wrong. And then Penny Mordaunt tonight, even on the debate, she went even further. I would say she was no holds barred in terms of saying that it was a mistake. Can you forgive him a little bit, given how contrite he's been?
Well, I think with the apology, you have to understand if he knows why he's apologising. You know, everyone gets their kids to say sorry when they've done something wrong and they apologise, but you have to really dig into it and see if they understand why they're apologising. And I don't think the apology we got today really dug into that. I still don't think he really gets what yesterday meant to so many veterans up and down the country. You know, we talk about voting with your feet. Those, you know, 80 years ago, all of those soldiers voted with their feet for freedom when they went to fight for us. And he voted with his feet yesterday by leaving early. And that says a lot. You know, I think if he doesn't understand what people paid 80 years ago for the price of freedom, and he doesn't get his head around that, then I don't think he really understands what he was apologising for.
Yeah, because he still said I was doing what was right for the British country by coming home. He tried to spin it, didn't he? That he's doing what's right now for the UK. That was why he came back. Clearly got very busy to-do list at the moment here, Liz. And that's his logic for not staying there. So, but I'm trying to find it. I'm looking in my heart to find some reason for it, because I think personally, I do have some sympathy with that position in terms of the fact that he does have an election round the corner. And maybe he just is the kind of guy that gets so focused on one job and wants to win. He's so competitive that he forgot, in a sense, or he failed to consider how passionate the country is about the work of our service people.
Yeah, I mean, I always say you can't judge someone until you've walked a mile in their shoes. And I am not Prime Minister and I'm not running for an election at the minute. But I think in terms of, you know, people laid down their lives for us 80 years ago and some gave all. And if he can't give a few extra hours on the, you know, commemoration of D-Day, that says a lot. I understand he's busy. I appreciate that. But I think in terms of a few hours that could have been spared yesterday for the perception piece that came with it, it would have gone a long way. Yeah. And I think a lot of it was about the perception, really. You know, I've no doubt he had things to do. But I think when we saw those pictures at the end of the day, when he wasn't stood shoulder to shoulder with global leaders, considering what's going on at the minute, you know, in these, I think it's really important that he was stood there in that picture showing solidarity. And he wasn't, and I think that sent a very poor message around the globe, really, as to how important he thought that was.
Okay.